Beneath the calm, glittering surface of the world's vast oceans lies a pressurized realm of total silence.
This is a place where sunlight completely fades and intense pressure crushes steel, making human presence impossible.
Yet within this hostile environment, the U.S. Navy has secretly built a hidden empire of shadows.
It is a secret world of advanced steel and technology that very few outsiders will ever witness.
These are not the iconic aircraft carriers or towering destroyers that most Americans see on the news.
These are the ghost fleets, the deep-dive submarines, and the highly covert infiltration teams operating unseen.
These unmapped undersea platforms form the true backbone of America's ongoing, completely silent war for dominance.
This is the classified story the Pentagon never openly tells the public, but its effects are profound.
The results of these secret operations reshape the balance of global power every single passing day. For decades, rival nations have significantly expanded their total undersea presence, laying new strategic communication cables. They are deploying advanced listening posts and sending unmanned submersibles into highly contested international waters today. But the U.S., with its unmatched submarine force, decided to go in another direction entirely. Instead of merely defending the oceans, America began working within them, infiltrating, observing, and disrupting rivals. They started quietly manipulating the very infrastructure that powers all critical global communication and financial data. Around 2012, intelligence reports began hinting at something new and deeply troubling beneath the waves.
Russian special mission submarines were spotted hovering menacingly over critical NATO fiber optic communication cables. Chinese drones were mapping seabed networks, while unidentified craft operated dangerously close to American undersea assets.
The United States Navy understood exactly what was happening in these dark, pressurized, cold depths.
The ocean was no longer a neutral expanse. It had suddenly become a new technological battlefield.
Whoever controlled the shadows beneath the surface would control the entire global financial system above. In response, a highly classified new program emerged from the shadows to counter these threats. It was a set of undersea operations so sensitive they were detached from conventional command structures. These vital operations involved a new generation of advanced submersibles, smaller and quieter than before.
They were far more adaptable than any full-size nuclear submarine that had ever been deployed.
Some of these assets were described by insiders as black sharks, highly autonomous drones with AI cores.
These drones were capable of navigating deep, complex terrain without surfacing for weeks or months.
Others operated as manned microsubs, slipping undetected through extremely narrow underwater canyons and trenches.
They maneuvered closer to enemy infrastructure than any diver or full-size submarine ever could achieve. Together, these assets formed the backbone of what insiders whispered as Neptune's shadows, a new strategy.
This covert strategy was designed to maintain total dominance of all undersea intelligence and infrastructure.
The goal: infiltrating hostile waters before adversaries even knew that they were there in the dark.
One of their primary objectives was securing America's critical communication lifelines from any potential disruption.
This is the network of fiber optic cables carrying trillions of dollars in daily financial transactions.
These same cables are responsible for carrying over 90% of the world's internet data.
Losing these cables during a conflict would cripple the entire United States economy in mere minutes.
So the Navy began mapping every single inch of them, tracing their routes across the Atlantic.
They mapped the Pacific and the Arctic, marking vulnerabilities and preparing instant countermeasures for activation. Rumors quickly spread in intelligence circles of new undersea taps being deployed in strategic locations.
These were classified devices that could extract information from cables without ever being physically detected.
If a rival nation attempted to cut or manipulate a cable, the U.S. Navy would know.
And if an adversary tried planting their own device, they would find a silent visitor waiting.
But cable defense was only one vital part of the mission for Neptune's Shadows operators.
The Navy also needed to understand what its adversaries were building beneath the ocean surface.
This included Chinese deep-sea listening stations near the Philippines and Russian submersible hubs in the Arctic.
They also monitored Iranian cable-mimicking decoys that were detected operating in the Persian Gulf area.
And so, elite teams of specially trained divers and intelligence specialists began executing these operations. They descended together into the black void, moving through deep underwater ravines in total darkness.
These teams approached foreign installations under complete and total radio silence, remaining completely undetected.
There were no surface ships involved, no communication bursts, nothing that could give away their presence. Sometimes these elite operators placed monitoring sensors. Sometimes they retrieved foreign devices. Sometimes they simply watched. These silent missions formed the bulk of Neptune's Shadows, a program built to prevent wars. In one classified maneuver, a U.S. reconnaissance drone trailed an advanced Chinese submersible for 36 hours.
The operation, taking place in the South China Sea, remained completely undetected by the target.
The drone collected acoustic signatures, movement patterns, and crucial AI reaction tests from the Chinese vessel.
This was enough intelligence to give U.S. submarines a decisive advantage in any future confrontation.
In another operation, special divers infiltrated a foreign-controlled underwater ridge, rumored to host a station.
What they found instead was far more alarming: an emerging network of unmanned autonomous drones. These drones were linked in a complex web-like formation, capable of tracking U.S. submarine traffic.
The U.S. response to this discovery was immediate. Counter-sensors were planted, and frequencies were analyzed.
The entire enemy network was mapped by specialists for future intelligence exploitation by U.S. forces. Without a single shot fired, the U.S. Navy had turned an enemy advantage into a vulnerability.
Today, Neptune Shadows remains one of the most closely guarded aspects of American national defense. Its dangerous missions are never acknowledged publicly. Its incredible successes are never celebrated by officials.
And its failures, if any exist, remain buried forever beneath thousands of meters of water.
But one truth is undeniable. As long as rivals seek dominance, the U.S. Navy continues. It will continue its silent watch, operating in the world's darkest, most pressurized, dangerous depths. They ensure that America's enemies never gain the upper hand in this critical undersea domain.
This is a realm where noise means certain death, and absolute silence means ultimate victory.
Far beneath the ocean's calm surface, the U.S. Navy's quiet war suddenly and dramatically intensified.
Rival nations began deploying their own underwater shadow forces to counter American technological advantages.
China expanded its deep-sea drone presence, operating fleets of autonomous craft disguised as research vehicles.
Russia, meanwhile, strengthened its Arctic foothold with new nuclear-powered special mission submarines designed for espionage.
These vessels were not designed to fire torpedoes, but to disappear into the seabed for months.
Their primary mission was to remain hidden, silently listening to everything that was moving around them. As the oceans grew more crowded, The Navy realized dominance required more than just stealth.
It would require prediction, the ability to understand enemy movements before they even happened.
And so, the classified Neptune Shadows program was forced to evolve once again to meet threats.
The heart of this new evolution was a classified system known only as the Triton Array.
Unlike traditional sonar, which listens for noise, the Triton Array is designed to listen for patterns.
It detects shifts in magnetic fields, micro vibrations in the seabed, and faint thermal signatures. The system was built to operate far deeper than human divers could ever possibly go.
It was anchored to underwater ledges, concealed below layers of rock and shifting sediment. Each array node acted as a silent underwater sentry, feeding encrypted data to an AI core.
If a rival drone entered US-claimed waters, the Triton Array could detect and predict it.
If an enemy sub attempted to tap American cables, the node sent a silent alert. This alert was sent to a waiting US asset already positioned nearby in the shadows.
But intelligence is only valuable when paired with action, leading to a new secretive group. This new group was whispered to be called the Abyss Rangers. Officially, they do not exist.
Unofficially, they are the elite of the elite, divers trained for impossibly deep operations.
These operations are so dangerous that a single minor mistake means certain and instant death.
Operating from miniaturized submersibles and wearing specialized pressure-resistant suits, they infiltrate hostile areas. They enter zones where no full-size submarine can safely maneuver without being detected or trapped.
Their missions include retrieving enemy stealth devices and planting tracking beacons on rival drones. They even perform clandestine repairs on America's own critical undersea networks in complete secrecy.
These operations are so sensitive that only a handful of people have full clearance.
One unacknowledged mission involved intercepting a Chinese deep-sea drone operating near US fiber cables.
Rather than destroy it and raise suspicion, the Abyss Rangers shadowed it for over 17 hours.
They maneuvered through pitch-black waters, skillfully avoiding detection from its advanced onboard sensor systems.
When the drone docked at an anchor point to relay data, a Ranger diver slipped beneath. The diver installed a microscopic signal interceptor, a device capable of feeding false telemetry.
For months, China unknowingly collected manipulated data, believing it was mapping US cable routes. In reality, they were being steered away from sensitive assets. This was silent espionage.
Russia, however, posed an entirely different challenge, relying on brute capability rather than fine finesse.
Submersibles like the Losharik and Belgorod carried equipment capable of cutting or relocating cables.
To counter this, the US deployed a new class of autonomous hunter drones, small, fast.
These drones could track Russian special mission vessels for days, hiding within complex thermal layers.
They skillfully mimicked natural underwater noise to avoid detection by Russian sonar operators.
When Russian submersibles attempted to tamper with a NATO cable, the US drones responded.
They didn't engage violently, but instead planted acoustic tags, high-frequency markers only Americans could detect.
From that moment, every Russian movement in the area was monitored in real time.
Meanwhile, Chinese and Russian undersea cooperation began intensifying, creating a new combined strategic threat.
Intelligence suggested a coordinated undersea network, stretching from the South China Sea to the Arctic.
This network was designed to track U.S. nuclear submarines and map critical communication routes.
Their goal was establishing footholds near vital seabed infrastructure, threatening U.S. and allied interests.
The Pentagon understood what this meant. Not an open war, but a quiet siege.
It was a tightening ring around American undersea supremacy. Neptune's shadows had to evolve again. The next phase involved turning the ocean environment itself into an unlikely, powerful ally.
Using ultra-low frequency sensors and chemical detectors, U.S. platforms learned to read the water.
They identified drone exhaust trails, metallic ion signatures, and even faint mineral disturbances left by thrusters.
This gave American forces the ability not just to chase assets, but to know where.
For the first time, it became possible to track a foreign drone as reliably as satellite.
But the deeper the U.S. Navy pushed, the more dangerous the ocean itself became.
Deep undersea trenches, sudden pressure shifts, and volcanic activity posed a threat greater than rivals.
The ocean's complexity pushed Neptune's shadows further into innovation, secrecy, and extreme operational risk.
Adversaries were no longer gathering intelligence from above, but from the dark depths below.
The Navy had no choice but to stay one step ahead, or risk losing the war.
As China's hypersonic arsenal accelerates, the world finds itself standing at a dangerous new crossroads.
This is a moment where every single decision feels like pulling a sensitive military trigger.
Military planners fear not the weapons themselves, but the profound, destabilizing uncertainty they create. A missile that can cross entire continents in just minutes is terrifying, but predictable.
A missile whose flight path cannot be predicted is infinitely more dangerous to global stability.
It leaves commanders with only seconds to respond, increasing the risk of massive miscalculation.
This brief response time greatly increases the risk of panic or a devastating preemptive action.
This is the shadow creeping over global strategy. The fear that one misunderstanding could end civilization.
In Washington, analysts whisper about something even more worrying: China's investments in AI-driven targeting networks.
Hypersonic glide vehicles are lethal on their own, but become far worse when paired with satellites. When combined with undersea sensors, autonomous drones, and cyber tracking, they become a near-perfect kill chain.
This is a system designed to find, lock, and strike before the enemy can move.
The Pentagon calls this China's invisible net, a digital battlefield that could blind U.S. forces.
Inside secure rooms, American generals debate how to defend a world where speed is weaponized. But China is not acting in isolation. Russia, though strained, remains a hypersonic pioneer. They are actively fielding advanced systems like the Avangard, the Kinzhal, and the naval Zircon.
Together, they create a hypersonic pincer that stretches from the Arctic to the South China Sea.
As their cooperation deepens, U.S. allies like Japan, Australia, and the UKK scramble.
They are racing to develop their own countermeasures. Hypersonics have become the new nuclear race. This is a global contest fueled by incredible velocity instead of simple destructive nuclear yield.
Meanwhile, the world's major navies are facing a harsh new truth. Carrier supremacy may be ending. A single hypersonic warhead striking an aircraft carrier at Mach 8 would create devastation beyond repair.
Classified war game.
After
Another war game ends the same. Carriers cannot outrun these weapons or defend.
The U.S. Navy now trains for scenarios where its iconic platforms must operate farther away. They must be shielded by layers of interceptors, lasers, AI fire control, and electronic warfare.
The seas are becoming a battlefield where silence, stealth, and predictive algorithms matter more than steel.
Yet despite the rising danger, diplomats and military leaders cling to one fragile, lingering hope.
That cooperation might still be possible. Hypersonic arms control is no longer just a fantasy.
Because everyone understands the truth. No nation can truly win a war fought at Mach 10.
The destruction would simply be too fast, and the consequences would be far too permanent.
But hope alone is not enough. China continues building new wind tunnels for Mach 30.
It launches more hypersonic test vehicles each year than all other nations combined, accelerating development.
Deep within Xinjiang, new underground facilities hint at technologies the world has not yet seen.
These are weapons designed not just for speed, but for precision at unimaginable, staggering velocities.
The technological storm is still rising, and the global balance of power is shifting rapidly. In the end, the world may look back on this moment as the critical turning point. This is the instant when humanity had to choose between escalation and restraint, competition or catastrophe.
Because if history has taught us anything, it is this: the most dangerous weapons are unseen.
The true danger lies in the advanced weapons that we completely fail to understand.
As China aggressively pushes the limits of physics, nations everywhere are holding their breath.
The global balance of power is shifting, not slowly, not gradually, but at hypersonic speed. And somewhere high above the world, beyond radar and beyond reach, the future of warfare is already flying.